Stop the track. Nerdtopia, yo, and we got a free podcast. Cruising in the speeder, bullseye, flipping wall rats. Comics, video games, movies, real-life superheroes is what you can expect if you're wired to be weirdo. So we welcome all the newbies and the groupies, flashing boobies in the movies without cooties. And the show, it's got you drooling with this comedy, no fooling. Now presenting you your hosts is Steven Doolin. Word, NerdtopiaCast.com, Facebook.com/NerdtopiaCast, also YouTube and podcast 38 seconds.
I'm Steve Wareham.
And I am Dylan Dalton.
And we are here at DragonCon.
2012.
Coming to you live from a secret, undisclosed location somewhere between the Marriott and the Hilton.
But not the Hilton.
Are we officially in the Hilton?
I think we're still officially in the Hilton, yes.
I have no idea.
I want to introduce. We're gonna have a
few
potpourri,
different Nerdtopians.
an extravaganza, a cacophony of, if you will. As in, none of those adjectives actually work for what we're going to be doing. We're going to have several.
Sensual.
Yeah, we're gonna have some sexy entertainment guests. We're gonna have a couple of guests come in. We're basically doing the two-parter here. So we are sitting in a very isolated area. It's funny because there's nerd debris everywhere, so you can tell people have been here and discovered the spot. Like there's empty soda cans, soda bottles everywhere.
Unused wrappers.
Yeah.
Unused condoms.
No. That's the only thing you don't see. Yeah, unused condoms, right?
They'll never be used.
They may have gotten to third base, but
They may have gotten to third base. So we're gonna have people coming in and out and joining us on the show, and we are very pleased to introduce our first guest here, coming from Humanoids. Joe, are we allowed to? Are we going with your moniker here for?
most people are associating the Joe with no E.
Okay.
Joe with no E.
It's not with no. We have a thing on the show where
Yeah,
we love to.
Joe with no, like that's not his real name.
We love to accent the wrong syllables on everybody's name. So it's not Joe with no. It's Joe with no E that you would know from the Facebook site. And also are you the PR for
I'm
Humanoids?
the marketing and social media director for Humanoids Comics. We've been around since 1998, but we have a longer history of that with the French side, which is LHA, Les Humanoids Associés, however they want to pronounce it. I can't speak French.
That's okay. I can barely speak English.
If you have ever seen, if you've ever heard of the Incal, that's us.
Okay.
Which the creators actually sued the Fifth Element for ripping off most of the story for.
Really?
Yes. Also, Heavy Metal, the movie with the big chick with the big tits and everything like that, and the ball.
Which one?
John Candy and all that. Most of the art and the creative team from that is originally from Heavy Metal magazine, which is Metal Hurlant, which is also Humanoids.
Okay, so I mean, basically, the U.S. version of Humanoids is an offshoot of, I guess, which is LHA, and that's basically, I mean, is that? It's a French company, as I understand, and is that the Marvel of France, basically? I mean, is that the big game over there?
That they are definitely one of the top games. They were founded by Mobius, who he's your favorite artist's favorite artist.
Okay.
He recently passed away this past January, but if you look back then, you see every artist you like has attributed some kind of influence to Mobius, and he's our founder. And we're still putting out reprints of material that they did together. So.
And I know that you're like us. You're a Florida native, right?
Vero Beach, born and raised.
Yeah. So.
Vero White's in the house.
Which is weird because you couldn't throw an asteroid, and hit 3 native Floridians in one room. But you're still there now. Is kind of your center for Humanoids down there, or you kind of work remotely? Or
I work remotely. Humanoids is based primarily in Paris because the head publisher owns both LHA and Humanoids, so he splits his time between Paris and California. My immediate boss is in South Korea right now, but we'll be relocating back to California next month, and that'll make things flow a little bit easier. But I hope to actually get out there and work more hands-on in the near future.
So, all right, who did you have to blow to get this job?
And who can we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, does it start here now? Because I have some time. We have 2-hour podcasts, so.
Little known secret: my immediate boss is actually my cousin.
Is he really? Okay, so
Because,
all right.
Hey, it's networking at its best.
That's right.
But to be fair, I was put up for the job without knowing it, and it had already been approved by the head publisher based on work I did with an independent movie a couple of years ago in California.
Okay.
And remember the name of that movie.
Very independent.
How awesome
I know.
would it be you get a phone call for a job, an awesome job you didn't even know that you were in the running for. Like, oh, by the way, you're getting this job.
Like
goes-
Iron Man?
Li-
That call never came.
He literally called me and goes, all right, so here's the situation. He goes, and I need you to say yes. He goes, because I've already told Fabrice you said yes. And I'm like, well, you're lucky. My answer's going to be yes. I'm probably the biggest comic book nerd out of everybody there. Some of the other guys on staff have a bigger appreciation for the literature and the art. I mean, our art director, Jerry Friesen, is a phenomenal art fanatic.
Yeah.
He actually has the original covers to every single Metal Hurlant going back to the very beginning.
Wow.
And he posts them on Tumblr, which is humanoidsinc.tumblr.com. And they go over to our Facebook as well, which is facebook.com/humanoidsinc. Our Twitter is twitter.com/humanoidsinc.
Humanoids is something that, I mean, you still kind of, I remember back when I first started getting into comics, I had Marvel, I had DC, and then I had
Image to a lesser extent.
Image. And those were the big three, but you really hear about a lot of the local kind of independent publishers in this era, this kind of, I would say, you had your early 90s as my generation's kind of first kind of rebirth. And this was even it kind of seemed to me to roll around with X-Men 1. Like that seemed to me that was when all of my friends started reading it. When the one
Comics are cool again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And people started taking it seriously, and then X-Men the animated series came on. A lot of people in our generation got on with Batman the animated series. So the cartoons kind of led, and they really started working on the synergy. But now you hear a lot more about from people who have been in it and never really left the circle. You really kind of are starting to see a lot of these independent publishers come into their own, and certainly with resources like they're able to afford you, and some of the brands that you guys already have. Are you guys kind of riding that wave a little bit and experiencing kind of the same trend?
Absolutely. And to steal one of your words, we were lucky that when Humanoid started, we had a cacophony of talent already. Great French celebrities, they take the medium over there very seriously. We had Mobius and we had Alejandro Jodorowsky, who, if you've ever heard of, is a very amazing writer, but he's really spiritual, and he's got movies out there and stuff like that. And so we had those catalogs, but we kind of rebranded ourselves about 8-9 years ago when we got into bed with DC for a little while and had a co-imprint going on.
Sure.
We had Jeff Johns do a story for us. He did Olympus, and he did a story in the Metal Hurlant. It's now being adapted into a TV show over in France, which will then be released on DVD over here.
Yeah.
It's being recorded in English, so there's no worries about having to understand it. We've got Michael Jai White, famous for playing Spawn.
Yes.
Rutger Hauer,
Oh yeah.
Hobo with a Shotgun. They're in it, and so
The infamous white-haired villain
yes.
of every movie. Like
Villain, yeah.
it's like, I don't know if I'd ever get to a point where I saw Rutger Hauer walking down the hallway and I'd be extremely comfortable with myself. It's like, hey, Rutger! You don't do that. Like, who says, hey, Rutger?
Like, oh, he might have a shotgun.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's coming. So we've got a lot of things going out there, but like going back to what you said, the resurgence, we started to adapt and pick up some U.S. natives, authors, and artists, and kind of bring them over to the European side because, yes, while the art is different, they have this passion for it. There are times when they want to do different stuff.
Sure.
And like Jeff Johns wanted to write a story that was more European-centric. John Cassaday, who's most famous for working with Joss Whedon on the Astonishing X-Men, did I Am Legion, which is a supernatural take on World War II, the Nazis and whatnot. We've got Guy Davis, who does Zombies They Ate the World with our art director, Jerry Friesen.
Yeah.
So, we've got all kinds of people over here that are taking off over there, and vice versa. We've got talents that are huge over there that haven't really bled through to the United States and North America, and that's what we're working on, too. One of my favorite books that just came out was Coma, which was written by Peter Wasem and drawn by Frederick Peters, who is a phenomenal talent and, in fact, has his own autobiography called Blue Pills, a positive love story, which is him meeting his current wife, and she was HIV positive, and just he wrote and drew it, and it's a phenomenal book and has nothing to do with humanoids, but it's that good. Go buy it. You can find it on Amazon.
Oh, we plug everything here. Yeah. Go listen.
It's so good.
Yeah. If we get a guest on the show, please do something to bump their numbers, because for God's sake, it's show the world that we have a little bit of value with you people. Okay, we provide countless hours of entertainment, both with the show and with the website and with the Facebook group. Give a little back, all right? And go buy Base Rap's book too.
Humanoids.com.
.com.
We also are on Amazon.com with all of our books. They're great.
And we'd be happy to put a link to that up on the website.
Absolutely. So I have a couple more quick industry stuff before we start getting into the wackiness. Are you guys, have you noticed, especially with the advent of iPads and things like that, are you starting to, are you guys still really the hardcore, like brick and mortar, like this is how comics should be done? Or are you kind of on the avant-garde, we need to get our stories out any way we can, let's embrace digital media? I mean, where do you guys fall as far as that goes?
No comment. No, I'm kidding. When I did accept the job with Humanoids, my first thing was to be as mobile friendly as possible.
Yeah.
I will always be a brick and mortar guy.
Yeah.
My comic book collection is numerous now, and it takes up a lot of my house. But we've had lots of people who they want to embrace that digital thing.
Sure.
And I believe, especially with us having such a great international market and sometimes not being able to we have fans in Israel, we have fans in Turkey, Hungary that speak English and want the English versions. And it's like, we can't always depend on a shop nearby having one. So yes, that's been a big influence. Everything on our Facebook is mobile friendly. Everything on the website's mobile friendly. And without going into too much, but I'd say pay attention to the beginning of the year, as I will be embracing that format very, very heavy.
So we're going to do a full court press on the...
there will be a press release come the end of December, I would assume.
Fantastic.
So,
all right, so you heard it here.
Stay tuned.
Did you just give us a NerdtopiaCast exclusive?
Oh, we broke news, bitch.
We got a scoop. This is fantastic.
I will say there is an iPad app coming as well. So,
Okay, good.
Android will be after.
But I think you bring up a good point, because I am definitely a guy who enjoys having his, I think there's something special about being able to crack open the seal of a bagged and boarded book. But by the same token, there are some things out there that, there's always something to be said for, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get a copy of this art. But I'm also going to get something on an iPad or an iPhone, because I want to be able to take that with me and preserve the nature of the book that I just bought.
Completely agree.
So you can technically, let's face it, this is not necessarily always a cheap habit to have. No. But you know what? I gave up smoking 3 years ago, so this is kind of replacing my smoking habit. It's $4 a day. Quit smoking. Go buy 2 copies of a comic book. It's not gonna. You know what? I'm saving lives too. Yeah, we're scooping. We're saving lives. Everything is happening here at DragonCon.
You're a brave man.
The one thing I can say is that Marvel has had a pretty good idea with a lot of their newer books.
Yeah.
When you buy it, granted the price on some of their books are $3.99 now, but they're including the code to redeem for the digital version for free.
Yeah.
So that's a great thing, like you said, that you want that. I'm a collector. Like I said, I've got first appearances of Havoc.
We were talking the other day. You've got a pretty strong collection.
I've got X-Men number 8, which I couldn't get Stan to sign, but unfortunately. But still, so I buy them. I put them, I bag and board them away, and I got the digital version. I came up here to DragonCon from Florida. I brought my touchpad with me that's flashed with Android, and I've got a bunch of my comic books, right there to read,
Yeah. And again, that was one of the things that I've noticed. That was one of the things that I've noticed with my collection, especially. It's like, you want to be able to preserve all of these things. That gives you a chance to take these things, put them in a place where they're not going to get damaged, and you can still kind of go through.
And those airplane rides, man.
Oh yeah.
Perfect ebooks, comic books, everything on you can take one device that has all those on there, rather than let me go to my carry-on, pull out this book, and you're afraid it's going to get ruined.
Now you brought a name back into my head, and we're gonna move kind of into some of the silly now that I hadn't heard in a long time. I haven't told you this yet, but we have a mutual acquaintance with Tom Kroon. Now Tom used to work with me at a formerly well-run movie rental establishment, and that's where I first got to know Tom. And I had no idea he had this second life. And for all outward appearances, Tom really kind of seemed like, when this is a decade ago, so. Seemed like he was a guy who's probably, I don't know how, he's probably 10 years older than me, 5-10 years older than me. But it seemed like he had his act together, real sharp guy, had a Palm Pilot before I did, real kind of tech savvy, and was never without words, always had something to say. And you know, I moved on kind of from that chapter of my life, went somewhere else. Didn't really, you know, we didn't, at that point I was just a punk kid. We didn't really kind of exchange addresses or anything like that. But it took me a while to put two and two together. You mentioned Tom to me. I was like, I know that name from somewhere. So why don't you tell me how you know Tom?
Tom Crume, I know Tom Crume the man before I knew Tom Crume the brand.
Okay.
We actually had a college class together about 8 years ago, him and his lovely wife, Shannon Crume.
Okay.
And we grew friends then. And and then flash forward to a couple of years later, we always ran into each other and stuff like that. And then it turned out we had a mutual interest in a lot of the same things, comic books, TV, sci-fi.
Right.
And so I started getting involved with Tom Crume the brand. Normally when he does a convention in Florida, I usually help him out in some way I can, whether it's providing devices for the game room or helping run lines. But Tom Crume is probably one of the greatest people I can ever say that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting.
Wow.
In terms of being a consummate professional and knowing when to embrace technology and embrace himself as a brand. He has a joke, and it may not even be a joke, but whenever he runs a convention, if somebody tries to apply for a press pass, their website must garner more hits than TomCrume.com. And he's had to turn people away for it.
Yeah.
But he's a great individual. I worked at the Invader Zim convention with him last month in Los Angeles, which was a lot of fun. I met Jonan Vasquez, the creator, who's also known for Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Okay.
And made good friends with Ricky Simons, who's the voice of Gurr.
Yeah.
Me, him, Tom, Shannon, we all went to Disneyland for Shannon's birthday. But yeah, Tom's a great guy, and like I said, he's done very well for himself and his business partner Ken Nabby. They run Wasabi Anime, which is also now Green Mustard Entertainment, which is more the business side of everything.
Right.
And they're involved in so many things. And if you're in Florida, they run conventions like Florida Anime Experience. They got a new one starting this year called WasabiCon, which will be in Jacksonville.
I noticed that.
And this will be a first-year con, but it's a multi-genre one. And while Tom's helped out running the anime track for so many conventions around Florida, and even just recently did Anime Expo out in California, which is probably one of the biggest anime conventions in the United States. So this is his first multi-genre convention himself, and hopefully I will be involved in some way, form, whether it's helping or whether it's there as a guest representing humanoids. If you're listening, please remember me and Ricky Simons are big humanoids fans.
Yeah.
And would love to do a panel together. He wants to do one with me, so book him, book me.
Yeah, yeah, Tom. And you're getting a free shot on my show for covering that shift for me one time.
You got a whole little section right there.
No, to be completely honest, I and this is all just coming from you. Our paths kind of went parallel for all of really honestly may have been 3 to 4 months. Because I went to a different store. We had 2 different stores. He was at one, I was at the other. But I will say this of my memory of Tom is that if I was going to attach myself to someone else who I thought had the marketing savvy to pull something like that off, if Tom Crume, from what I remember him as, came up to me in the street and say, "I remember you. Hey, listen, I'm putting on a con." That would be a con I would want to go to.
Absolutely.
Because Tom knows how to do it and knows his stuff.
Tom does it right. He doesn't believe in having volunteers at his convention. He does pay everybody that's on staff. He takes care of his people.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I can say about him.
All right. Well, Tom, if you hear this, hi. Doolin and I have a podcast. How are you? Hope everything's great. Yeah.
TomCrume.com, GreenMustardEntertainment.com. Go to one of their conventions in Florida.
Also check out Humanoids on Facebook and
yes, humanoids.com.
We have another guest. We are going to have a boatload of fun with you because young Joe is going to have to.
He's got to go elsewhere. He's a busy man.
Go extol the
Coca-Cola
virtual
factory.
Yes, go meet Joe at the World. This is not live, so if you were at World of Coke and you were like, "Hey, isn't that guy?" Yeah, it was. We're gonna get back down to a 3-person show, which is a +1, if you will, because we have Sarah Lynn with us. From NerdtopiaCast.com. We need to get real cozy here, guys, because this mic ain't going to pick up. So we need to have a friendly circle of trust and love. I have breath savers. If anyone needs some, please let me know if I need one. But yeah, and I know you've got a ton of stuff that you've done over the past couple of days. You've been a busy little bee as well. But there was a story that I'm sure you're coming out of this con with a lot of stories.
Some I can't repeat.
Okay. You've already given us a scoop. Really appreciate that. But give us some meat. Give us something that you're going to think twice about repeating later, but not so much right now. I want to hit that line with you, Joe, because we've played air hockey together. We've shared moments of victory and loss.
Your loss, my victory.
Yeah, well, my wife stomped you into the ground because my unborn child was controlling her from the within side. So I want to get Joe's con story for this year. The one thing you gave me a story, you gave me a little sneak peek that won't get repeated of an event that you attended, where there were people affiliated with
other things
and
we're doing things that they should not have been doing.
Yeah,
that's all I can do.
Yeah, we'll just it gives me more incentive to keep my daughters off the pole. We'll put it that way.
And go to the parties. If there are after parties, go to them.
Yes.
Speaking of, if you were not at Cosplay Deviants party on Friday night, you missed out. If you were not at the Heroes and Villains Ball the other night, you missed out.
Oh, were you there?
We were there.
Were you there at the beginning? Were you there at the beginning?
I was drifting by.
Okay.
That's all I can.
I got in the pit with Wednesday Addams. Were you there for that? Where people started chanting?
Oh.
Okay,
Man.
We're gonna get to that story later.
Felicia Day was partying her ass off.
Oh, really?
Felicia Day.
Holy man. No, listen. Okay, no. I need to use you for as long as I have you. But I have some con stories this year, ladies and gentlemen. So give us a little bit. Just give us something to get us to the next con. I want a wild con story from Joe.
Deposit it into the bank, if you will.
Yeah. Because the 12 people that listen to our show aren't going to repeat it.
I think we're up to like 20-something now.
20 if we get Phoenix on, I think.
Yeah, there you go.
Otherwise, somebody will kill me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
What happens at DragonCon stays at DragonCon.
Not always. Sometimes what happens at conventions hits the internet very quickly.
Yeah.
He said to the podcast.
I can't really think of anything that's like juicy.
Yeah.
I was an old man for some of these things. I was in bed by like 11 o'clock.
Really?
We went home.
Yeah, we had
when you're waking up to be here for a panel at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning,
Now, were you did you guys? You're entrenched in the industry. Did you guys were you on any panels?
Unfortunately, I missed out on the sign up and.
Because you were a late arrival.
I didn't agree to be here until like a month ago.
Right.
My connections in the industry are growing, but they're not completely there yet. So again, I'm hoping next year that we will have panels here. That's why I'm just trying to get myself out there as much as possible in the Florida scene. I hope to be at MegaCon this year, or coming up. I hope to be at Florida SuperCon again next year in Miami. Mike Broder, again, if you are also listening, book me. And also, Ricky Simons loves me at Barron's, loves humanoids.
Yes, Ricky Simons is a gentleman and a scholar, as well as Joe. If you want some class acts who are going to put a good face to the comic book industry, and this is what comic books are about. It's independent publishers as much as it's about Batman and Superman and Green Lantern and all these big Hollywood movies. They all started as independent publishers. That's how we forward the medium. We forward the medium with new characters. We forward the medium with new stories. We forward the medium with new artists. And we can't do that without small independent publishers. We can't do that without groups like Humanoid who are crossing continents and bringing content from overseas here. And basically, you guys are acting as a foreign exchange program for the comic book industry, which is huge. Go buy Batman, go buy Green Lantern, go buy that stuff. But make sure you pay attention because some of the best writing you'll ever see. Preacher was done on.
Was it Vertigo?
Yeah, I think Vertigo.
Yeah,
Which that's a subsidiary of DC, but still DC let them go and do what they want to do.
Yeah,
and it worked out.
All of these things started small.
Doesn't always work out well. You've got Wanted. Wanted was a phenomenal book by Mark Millar and J.G. Jones. That was kind of a parody of, not so much a parody, but he used archetypes of the DC universe and made a great story. It was basically Watchmen of supervillains, and then it got turned into a god-awful movie.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim, the First of the World was a decent
Absolutely.
one. It should have been it should have had more space. That was my only complaint with it.
Well,
and it crammed too much into.
Yeah, and that was one too that I didn't get into till much later, and I came in with the movie because it stars the greatest actor of our generation, Michael Cera.
I hope that was sarcasm.
No, it absolutely.
Really
I have.
He loves Michael Cera.
I have everybody's got
He's
a man
gonna have
crush.
his awkward children.
Yeah, everybody's got a
He
man
plays
crush.
the same role in everything.
But he's
But however, Scott was written for him.
That's true.
Okay, so you see a guy out there like Gerard Butler, big dude, right? And you're like, oh, I could imagine, in a world without women, him like curling me up next to a fire and taking care of me during the winter.
How do I quit you?
You feel safe with Gerard Butler?
Yeah, no. I'm just saying, you can imagine that. So he's your strong, burly man crush, and then you have guys like Michael Cera.
He's not going to leave you.
What
Yeah.
about Matthew McConaughey, though?
Oh, that's all
That's
him.
my guy. That's all me.
That's all him.
Okay.
Then you
So
have
you're Gerard
but you have ones like Michael Cera. It's like you're adorable, and I want to take care of you. And you
So
could,
I could see it like a 3-spoon situation where you're sitting there, and then Gerard Butler's the big spoon, and he's over you, and then you've got Michael Cera.
I would
So-
definitely be the
if
boar's
Michael-
head in that sandwich.
If Michael Cera is the bitch.
Yeah.
And Gerard Butler is the butch.
And you're
Yeah.
What are
in
you?
between.
I'm the bench, I guess. I'm whatever I need to be.
Whatever they
to make
want me
this,
to be.
Yeah, to make this happen, man. So that kind of got me into Scott Pilgrim, but the whole point of it is all of these things started as real small, and they need to kind of take off as time goes on. That's how you do it. You buy the materials.
All right, guys, it's been great. I'm gonna have to run out of here. Things to do, people to go piss off.
Yes. Give us one last as a send off. We're big marketers here. We're into we've always believed, and I've said this from the beginning. Anybody that is affiliated with our group will be able to use this show and the website as a marketing. And we want you people to come out and buy because we're your friends, guys. And if you're listening to this first, second, third, fourth hand by now, you're part of the movement. So support these people because these are the ones who are reachable. We are the ones who can listen to you. We are the ones who can help take the medium to the next level. So what I need from you, Joe, is I need you to give me an epic humanoids plug going out. Put on your P.T. Barnum hat here. Let's get in the center ring. Spotlight's on you. And I want you to take us home with something magical here. Are you ready? You need a minute?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages.
Yeah.
Epic send-off. Well,
Yeah.
all I can say is, look, if you like books, if you like anything with quality, anything like that, it all has to start somewhere. And as Stephen was saying, independent comic books they've got more room than any now to rise up.
Right.
And while,
We're doing a photo op. This
Doing a
is
photo
saying,
op.
this is the bonus feature. Keep talking, Joe. Keep talking.
Yeah, so we're still talking here.
Yeah.
So again, support your local comic books, support your local comic book store. I mean, yes, you have places like Amazon.com and whatnot, but again, your local comic book store is a dying breed, and they need all the help they can get.
Yes.
If you play games, go and support them, but also go in there and tell them you want to read Humanoids because
Absolutely.
we are in Diamond, but we're not always picked up everywhere by every shop.
Right.
But tell them you want to read The In-Call. It's one of the greatest stories ever told.
Right.
Tell them you want to read The Crusades. If you're a fan of Game of Thrones, read The Crusades. It is awesome.
Guys, if you're looking for a place to rest, we're recording a podcast. You can sit in if you want. Yeah, come on in.
Yeah, the more the merrier.
Yeah.
But,
keep going.
So check out Humanoids.
Okay.
Check out The Crusades. Check out Coma. Coma's one of the greatest stories I've ever read. It's kind of like, I used to say it's a little bit like Coraline from Neil Gaiman, but I mean the art is phenomenal. It's Frederick Peters that I was saying before, and it's a phenomenal story, and it really hit home, and I'd never heard of anything like it beforehand. But again, we've got Crusades coming out the first week of October. We've got a new version of the Metabarons coming out the end of October, along with November. Here's your next kind of little scoop a little bit. We're having a pure Jodorowsky month. We will have a new version of the Technopriest collected for the first time in English, all in one edition.
Wow.
In November, along with a unreleased version or an unreleased title that's never been over here. It's a little more adult friendly. It's called Dios Monte, and that's also Alejandro Jodorowsky. And it's gonna do well. It's gonna be in limited print run, and it's gonna be awesome. So please go to your stores, tell them you want to read those, buy them. Put food on my table.
Yeah, because listen. Joe is probably in the top 5 people I've ever met or read about in the history of film or print or but obviously he doesn't have enough to nourish himself to beat a girl at air hockey. So we need to put food on this young man's table. Joe with no E. Are we actually gonna put that, or are we gonna hyphen it, or are we gonna quote it? Is this gonna be a middle name? Joe with no E.
Professionally, still Joe Witherington.
Okay.
But the with no E can go in quotations in the middle.
With no E can go in quotations. Thank you so much for sitting in, fellow Nerdtopian. Joe with no E. He's gonna go to the World of Coke, dude. Okay, listen. I'm gonna tell you. There are 2 things you need to do at World of Coke. This is coming from somebody. I'm an Atlanta native, so you need to go when you get to the place where you can try all the Cokes. You don't drink Coke. That's the thing.
That's the problem.
Okay, listen. All right,
Did you have
Beverly.
or something?
It's like, okay, remember how the Harry Potter has the Bertie Bott's beans, and somebody's like, I'm gonna try this, and it's vomit. You're like, Okay, Beverly is the vomit of colas. It is. It's Italian. You guys know, right? We have new people. They're gonna. You guys want to be on the show? You don't have to. You can sit there and listen if you want. Yeah. If you guys feel that we're gonna be here in a minute.
Peanut gallery.
Yeah. Feel the need to. You can come over. But tell somebody that's the best stuff. It's like an Italian soda, dude. It tastes like recycled vomit. It's the worst thing in the world. It tastes like warm garbage water.
Yeah.
But you can get somebody with that. I know you don't drink soda.
I'll market it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Try all the different flavors. They have all kinds of weird stuff in there from all over the world.
Okay, so we're gonna pipe in some applause here. Joe with no E. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, brother. We don't need to stop. We're just gonna move right on.
Scholar.
Joe, thanks for coming.
Sarah, hi and bye.
Please keep everybody in your immediate group alive and well.
Send my best back to Vero Beach.
Yeah.
Hey. I saw you were Hurricanes last time you were there, but
did you?
In and out. Yeah, you were in the out.
Yeah, small world, man.
Yeah, you guys are like that movie with Ben Affleck and Gwyneth Paltrow with the Doors.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we just keep each other.
Yeah.
See you later, Joe. Thanks for coming.
Okay. So that was Joe with no E. Again, if you're in our Facebook group, Nerdtopia, why don't we give our new friends here some cards? We'll give them some cards with the show and everything, so you guys can listen to yourself laughing to the ridiculous things that we say on our show. Because honest to God, we can use every listener we can get, and it's free. While he's doing that, I'm going to take a minute to introduce our lovely co-host for the day. You know her from NerdtopiaCast.com. She's probably fragged you. We have Sarah Lynn Evans here with us. One of
the gaming goddess.
AKA the gaming goddess. Now you've got to be pretty decent to proclaim yourself as a deity.
Actually, that was all Jen. But
I was about to say. I was about to ask you a series of questions like, so what gives you the right?
I'm fucking awesome.
There you go. Well, you need. All right. So the first thing you need as a girl gamer is you need swag, right? You need to have the best set of imaginary testicles you can possibly put on. If you're going to be out there, no, I mean it's true. It's true. You got to have cojones to like my favorite. You're a Halo person, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So my favorite thing in the world to do is figure out some spot and then take a frag grenade and pop it on the bottom of somebody's shoe.
You mean a plastic grenade?
Yeah, not a frag
Sticky grenade.
Oh my God! Listen. All right, that was as bad as the one time when I did the Star Wars Star Trek thing. Oh man! Please send your hate mail to Chuck Stahlheber at NerdtopiaCast.com. Because trust me, he'll get mileage out of it. So why don't we do this? This is your first time on the mic. This should be a celebrated occasion.
Well, she was with us over Skype a couple weeks ago when we did the game show episode.
This is your first time on the mic.
First time
we want to, because you had your lag. I mean, you were talking to us on a Thursday morning when we were recording on a Sunday.
Time and space.
Yeah, exactly.
You were in the TARDIS.
Yeah,
I was. That poor internet up in the mountains of Georgia. It's like a hamster on a wheel.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna put the spotlight directly on you, and I'm gonna let you shine. Go ahead and tell us about. I want to hear about your gaming history. I want to hear about Sarah Lynn the person. I want to hear about if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be?
Show me the doll where he touched you.
Yeah, exactly. I want give us a Sarah Lynn primer, because if we're gonna keep you on the show, I want people to get to know you. So go ahead and give us some unfiltered Sarah Lynn nonsense here.
As far as gaming history, I actually didn't really start gaming until later in life.
Yeah.
Simply because my mother thought that they were evil when I was a child.
Yeah.
That's right. We had a very similar upbringing from what I remember.
Yes.
I mean, my mom didn't think there's a story. We don't need to get into a very special Nerdtopia cast here. But,
No, we don't need to have childhood therapy.
Yeah, Danny Tanner doesn't need to show up.
No, but there are certain mediums of entertainment that my mother did not agree with when I was a child. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Except for the occasional when I was at a friend's house, Paper Mario or Duck Hunt or whatever,
Anything cartoony.
Yeah. Damn dog.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Don't get me started. I'll write an article about it.
But I really didn't get started until much later. My brother and I shared a PS2 for a while, so I was really into Kingdom Hearts and things like that. But
I love Kingdom Hearts.
Really got into it the year that Halo 3 came out.
Mm-hmm.
I was up in North Carolina, and I got introduced to the multiplayer aspect of stuff, and it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah.
Right.
And ever since, it's just, it's been an absolute obsession and passion, and I especially with Halo.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much my...
That's your thing.
That's my thing. And Mass Effect. Halo and Mass Effect are my super awesome things. So that's kind of my gaming history. I really like going back and playing the older stuff that I missed.
Right.
I've got Sarah Lynn's old school review. That's kind of a cathartic thing for me, because I'm going back and playing stuff that I missed when I was a kid.
Right.
Or stuff that I remember. But I guess that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Gaming is concerned.
All right. Now, I don't have a filter, so I just I say the things that pop in my head, and that's why we have an internet radio show, because somebody thought that was interesting. And don't take this the wrong way, but you're a nice young girl. See you walking down the street. I was like, oh, that's somebody you'd want to babysit your kids, right? I'm just saying, you seem like a real nice, wholesome girl, and then you go into these. And coming from somebody I don't like to PvP, because I'm like, man, these guys are really mean. So I know for a fact, because I think you have to get to a certain level of gaming where you just start running your mouth. Have you gotten there yet? Are you there?
Oh, we've all
or
gotten
are
there.
you like the
Am
silent?
I a trash talker?
If you haven't done it, you're at some point or another, even the nicest.
I think the rank, right? I mean, because eventually, as you're involved in clans, you have actually groups. So you're in the upper echelon of gaming. For me, this is apples and oranges, but.
Yeah.
So at some point, don't you have to the new fish? Don't you have to go punch the first guy you see or something like that?
I guess there are times that it is fun to completely just make somebody run the gauntlet.
Yeah.
But I see when I get angry.
Yeah.
When people rage quit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, me too.
That is my biggest pet peeve. Second only to team killers, especially on Halo.
Yeah.
That is when I start cussing.
Yeah.
Straight.
Yeah.
You fucking
Not if it's an accident though. Just if they're doing it just.
If it's on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm screaming at the TV. Seriously, that picture that was posted in Nerdtopia a couple weeks back with the little girl going.
Oh yeah. This is Sarah Lynn at age 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty damn close.
I know that you're involved in competitive gaming. We'll say that. What was that? How do you decide to go from, okay, I'm just going to log in on Xbox Live every now and again and mess around in some matches, to be like, I'm going to take that to the next level, and I'm going to get into groups of elite people and get into gaming?
Well, that's actually kind of how I started.
Okay.
The lady that I was living with.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for coming by.
It was fun. Thanks. The lady I was living with in North Carolina when I was up there, her son was on active duty in the military out in Montana.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how she and her husband communicated with him, was through Xbox Live. And he's like, he's better than me.
Yeah.
And so it kind of started with him, and like we just started teaming up, and we met all kinds of awesome people. Now, unfortunately, just because we're all over the place with our own schedules, we don't really have a lot of time to get back together online and play as groups anymore.
Right.
But oh man, when we did, we seriously had a shot at Major League Gaming.
Yeah.
We seriously did.
So what was like when you go into competition like that? Like, are you when you have a team of like an elite? Like, how big was your when you went on into?
We had like a squad of 4.
4.
It was myself and Nick, and we had a guy that we played with who was actually in Australia.
Okay.
And then another one of Nick's friends. We just get on and.
So did you have an assigned role? I mean, all my gaming comes from MMORPGs, and specifically Warcraft, where you have to tank, healer, and stuff like that.
If I had to assign something to myself,
Mm-hmm.
as far as when I play games, I'm more of a tank with a side of DPS.
Okay.
That's how I play. But when you get into a good game and you have that kind of dynamic, everybody just kind of falls into place.
Yeah.
Whereas what your strengths and weaknesses are. In Halo, I'm a CQB person. I'm total close quarters battle.
Okay.
So I'm going in blazing with the assault rifle and whacking people in the face with my elbow. That's just me. That's normally my role. Now in something like Mass Effect, it would just depend on what class I'm playing,
Sure.
or whatever. And I don't know if y'all actually read the article that Chuck and I did as a joint last weekend.
Right.
We kind of switched things up, and he
On
played.
NerdtopiaCast.com.
Yes. He played the more tank-driven classes, and I was playing the more DPS mid-range type classes.
Right.
And so
You
we both
provided cover, and
we both kind of switched roles, and it was like, okay, this is a little weird for me, but it was cool.
Yeah.
But I'm more the one that goes in guns blazing. But when you get in a group that is good and you have that kind of vibe and you play well together, everybody just kind of falls into their place. So.
Which is kind of the I'd say probably advantage of having a group that you play with regularly as opposed to someone you just kind of get thrown into.
Right. Well, and then
it's more organized.
Yeah, sometimes you can get lucky on multiplayer.
Yeah.
And you find people that you mesh well with, and hopefully stay with them for several rounds.
Yeah. Sometimes not so much.
No.
That was always kind of my experience with trying to find a random group of people for a dungeon crawl, say in World of Warcraft.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and it would always be usually like one extreme or the other.
Oh god.
One of the things that I found, especially in the later versions, because I endgamed through Lich King and got into the endgame in Cataclysm before my last therapy session. So I've been in endgame raiding for 2.5, 3 years, heavily for 2.5, 3 years, and casually before that. But one of the things that I found specifically with Warcraft was the parameters that they're using now to matching people up with each other. Especially Warcraft's looking for group system. Yeah. Now, don't this was a year and a half ago, but it got to the point where it was a little more intuitive. It would, they started coming out with things like gear checks and things like that, where you can go through and say, okay, well, this player has at least gotten this, so we can match him up with players.
I feel like that tends to trend more towards rating now, though.
Yeah.
If you're just doing the Dungeon Finder, to do, Scarlet Monster or whatever you're working on, it can be a little annoying.
Yeah.
Because people tend to, either they're new or they're just being retarded, and they tend to pick, a class that they're not familiar with, like, or they say, oh yeah, I'll tank, and then they end up thieves.
Yeah.
I'm like, seriously, make up your mind. I think the last time I ran Scarlet Monastery, this has been actually like 2 months ago because I started a new character, and we had all the DPS people like pulling the mobs in 3 different directions.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I
No.
can't take if you guys have them all over the entire fucking place.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And then they were yelling at me. They're like, well, don't take
You're not
it. You
keeping
don't
up.
know what to do. I'm like, seriously?
well, that's a whole different subject for.
Yeah.
But you know, while I'm here, and I'm gonna we'll announce it at the end of the show. While I'm here and I have the mic, one of the things that I've noticed is like there needs to be specific servers where you have new players.
Yes.
And they need to cap that. So if you're coming in and let's say I'm Joe Smith at gmail.com and that is a new subscription to World of Warcraft. They need to say you can pick from these 5 servers.
Right.
And they need to kind of regulate that by how long you've been involved in the game and your average character level.
Sort of newbieville.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But that only benefits because it's going to take time to figure out these classes.
Right.
Right. So
I could see that working, like if once you hit a certain level cap, if they transferred you to a different server automatically, or maybe.
I'm sure there are going to be inherent problems one way or the other.
Probably. But I mean, I could see that would actually be a good idea. If you're brand new, I always recommend somebody like, look, don't start on a PvP server.
No.
Don't.
No,
Just
I did that when I first started WoW.
I did too.
Terrible idea. Oh my, I got so pissed. These people are ganking me. Yeah, you're on a PvP server. But I'm just starting a quest. You're on a PvP server.
I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to quest in Stranglethorn Vale. And that's when I realized I had a problem.
Well, it's the only time in a PvP server, that's the only time you might get a reprieve from being ganked.
Yeah.
And it's my idea on that, my feelings on that have changed completely. At the beginning, everybody's like, "Oh, if you're not on a PvP server, you're a pansy." Now I can PvP. I don't necessarily
Maybe
like
I
to.
just want a quest.
But
Yeah.
but in a PvE server, you can decide this is when I want to PvP.
Right.
Right,
which is usually when I run. I trend more towards the role playing. I'm not like hardcore, like, oh, I'm questing for la 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 with la la la, whatever.
Wouldn't that be it? Your companion's name is la la la, and you're questing for the coveted la 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 scale.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new stuff that's coming out with Mr. Pandaria, though, as far as
we
the
discussed
pet?
it a little while ago.
The pet combat system. It
There-
could be like
they-
Pokemon.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Dylan.
That's just another thing to grind.
I refuse.
That reminds me, I have something very special when I get back home for you to post on Facebook.
Uh-oh.
If you give me anything steampunky, I'm going to kill you. No.
We were actually discussing this morning. My wife could not be here. Now I'm gonna use this format for the cause of good here for a second, because my wife, who is 8.5 months pregnant, who was a trooper and hoofed it.
How she did it.
Hooked it. She did. We did.
Gosh.
We'll get into that stuff later.
That's in part 2.
But she has been a trooper this entire time. Spent 3 days at a con. Someone stole her cell phone.
Her iPhone.
Her iPhone. What is this hotel right here?
The Hilton.
The Hilton. We were in the Hilton.
This
I guess that's where.
This is the Hilton.
No, that's the Marriott. She was in the Marriott.
She was in the Marriott. Okay, she was in the Marriott. Right there next to security services. We had tucked ourselves away in an alcove to sit and take a break. As a matter of fact, Jen saw that her ankles were swollen and was massaging her feet. And at some time during that point, and the time when she got up and we all left and she went to the bathroom, her iPhone, her purple cased iPhone was stolen. So listen, if you stole it, or you know the person who did, no. Be a good dude, because she's a mother of 2 and we're a single income family. Be a good dude and return it to the proper hotel, and no questions asked. We're not going to track you down. But
I will.
But karma's going to get you. If you do things like this and you go prey on people at conventions who are just trying to have a good time, karma's going to get you. And eventually, someday, Phoenix Jones, I'm going to convince him to change his name from Phoenix Jones to Karma, so he can go out and he can start. But I'm not that angry about it yet. Just turn it in. If you stole anything from a con, just turn it in. Don't be a douchebag. This is a place where we're all supposed to get together and have a good time. And if you're taking away from somebody, you're taking away from that and that makes you a horrible person. So I'm going to end my rant right there.
No, that's fine.
But
yeah, I was really impressed when I saw her. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how she's doing
Oh my gosh,
it.
we
I
have
saw her
stories.
yesterday.
Yeah.
We have stories about some
I
of
was
the
like,
amazing things
man.
she's accomplished these past couple of days. We're going to talk about it here coming up in part 2.
in part 2.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was I don't know how or why we got on that track, but yeah, so we've lost an iPhone, but we've gained a wealth of knowledge and experience this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, you want to go ahead and bring part 1 to a close?
We shall bring part 1 to a close. We're going to go ahead and sign off, and then we're going to come back. We're all going to reconvene here a week later. And we're going to do a second podcast, and DragonCon still magically going to be here.
No, actually, no. We're going to do it in here in just a minute, and then we're just going to post them 1 week apart. So
that took away the magic.
yeah, I know.
Fine.
I know. I'm not going to come back to Atlanta.
Yeah,
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is it's like a 6-hour drive for me. So
you know, we can make this drive in 5 hours.
Oh God.
Oh yes, Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant, 24 feet tall.
Just stop.
All right.
I hate you so much. All right, guys. So join us next week. We're gonna jump in. We're gonna have our stories to tell from DragonCon, our DragonCon 2012 coverage. That's gonna be all here next week on DragonCon Men Part 2, second episode of NerdtopiaCast. So be sure to join us.
A very special NerdtopiaCast in which Steve has a conversation.
You know what though? We I don't have internet access. We don't have the theme song queued up.
Oh, it's got it on there.
But we could do it.
Yeah, but you want to do the thing? You want to do that song?
All right. Okay, we're gonna do our outro. Ready?
Let me do the beginning part of it.
Are you gonna do that one?
Well, I'm gonna do the pop. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Join us for more free funny on www.nerdtopiacast.com, and don't forget to check us out on iTunes or Stitcher. Oh my God, DragonCon! Hey man, it's a good show.